What's going on, everybody? King Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the DC Collectibles from the Arrow from the CW's The Arrow. So here we have Oliver Queen, aka the Arrow, in the box. You can see he is wearing his Season 2 getup. No, this is not Season 3, this is Season 2. There was a slight difference between him and all the seasons, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but anyway, here we have him in the box. You can see he does come with a bundle of arrows. And, of course, his compound bow, which looks really nice. I'm just wondering how I'm going to get that in his hand. But you can see in the background the city, or Starling City in the background, his city that he must protect. On this side, we have a nice picture of Stephen Amell as the Arrow. You can see the Arrow logo with a character, and he is the fourth figure. Why did I start with number 4? Because I thought it was only appropriate to start off with a main protagonist, and this was the only one I was able to find. Get off my back. And it says the Arrow right there. Other figures of the Arrow line include Oliver Queen with the Billy, well, I don't think that's Billy's, I think that's Slade's mask, but the totem, the Canary, which I think, no, I'm not going to even get into it, Deathstroke, and of course, the Arrow himself. So there you have it, guys. What I'm going to do now is take a little break, get him opened up, and we'll continue his review. So sit tight, everyone, and I hope you enjoy. And here we have the Arrow posing out of the packaging. Now, before I get onto the figure, let's get a good 360 of this guy. I'm going to say really beautiful figure. He's done incredibly well, especially for DC Collectibles standards. There are a few problems I have with this figure, but we'll go into more detail when we actually show him off. He does come with quite a few accessories. He does come with 2 arrows. You can see I had him holding one, and then he does come with 2 arrows, and if you really wanted to, you could actually pose him holding both of them. His fingers actually have a little gap between them, so you can actually have him posed with both fingers holding an arrow, which is really nice. And they just slide in between his fingers like so. Like I said, it does take a little bit getting them in there, but once you get him in there, he's holding them. He also does come with this bundle of arrows, which these ones don't seem to be painted as like no, these ones aren't painted like the solitary, like the singular arrows. These ones actually have a green arrow tip, and the feathers are painted, and then the shaft is this dark plastic, but this one is just dark plastic all the way down to the arrowhead, and then the feathers are painted. Like I said, these ones actually have the arrowheads painted green, which is pretty accurate. See if I can get a little more light on these so you can see them. But yeah, they're painted green at the arrowhead. The shaft is this dark green plastic, and then painted arrows, so that's pretty good. And then we go on to his compound bow, which, let's see if I can get yeah, I got it out first try. Really nice accessory, and it does have a string, which it's actually elastic, so you can actually pull this without like bending the plastic, because this does seem like a fragile accessory. Like if you bend it too much, this is going to break, so I'm glad that they gave us an elastic string, or drawstring. And then that's all the accessories that Arrow comes with. He doesn't come with anything else, which I don't think he really needed to. Maybe, no, the flechettes, we just lose those. Oh yeah, he should have come with that little crossbow that he was seen with Season 1. There's an empty spot on here, but it's just a solid piece of plastic. It's not hollow, so that's a little unfortunate. But anyway, let's go on to some of his detail really fast, because this figure has a lot of detail. Like I said, this is actually the Season 2 Arrow, which he is wearing a mask. It's not the grease smeared over his face. If you really wanted to, you could bend the plastic back and around his head. As you can see, he does have a full set head of hair there, and they did actually sculpt the mask onto his face. That's a pretty good representation of Stephen Amell. Not the best look for the hood. It would have been nice if there was a way we could actually have the hood down while keeping the head, because that's a really nice head sculpt. Paint is done phenomenally well. The belt on him is actually a separate piece, so it's not. It's actually glued. No, it's not glued. I thought it was glued right down here underneath his arm, but it's a separate piece, so that's pretty good. It is kind of falling off his torso, which might be a little problematic, but it's back on there. Okay. So yeah, this is actually a floating piece, so it's not actually glued on. I know this piece is glued on because it's the piece that has the hood on it. See, his flechettes are nice and painted. There is some detailing underneath there. You can see the green on the chevrons. You can actually see the zipper detail right there. His belt again. This piece is actually glued on. It's glued right here, but then it's loose at the hip. And my dog kind of wants something, but I don't know what she wants, so I don't know how to help her. But yeah, in the actual show, this piece is actually clipped on like that to both straps, and right here it's just hanging. Would have been nice if it was just sculpted on so that it would stay right there, because it kind of does bother me that this is a hanging piece. I don't know why it does, but you can see, again, we get a lighter green separated by this darker green. Really nice detail. Even in the boots you have the green soles with the black boots. His laces aren't painted, but I believe that's accurate to the show. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and see Season 2. And Season 1, because essentially it's the same thing minus the grease smeared all over his face. Moving the camera down, we're going to go on to his articulation. He does have a ball joint head, which works really well, as you can see. The only problem is that it's kind of hard to get into the hood and move his head around. Like, even turning it can be a little problematic, and you're stuck with him looking straight because the way, if you have him turning his head too much, it gets hidden behind the hood. Like I said, it is on a really nice ball joint. It's just hindered by the hood right here. The shoulders do go out to about that far. They do a full 360. Not at all hindered by this, although this will like scrunch up and be pulled out of place if you mess with it too much. He does have a single joint bend in the elbow, which also provides a swivel. He has a swivel hinge wrist. This wrist has an up and down hinge, while this one has a vertical hinge. So you can see that, and it does appear that he was supposed to have interchangeable hands. Might be because he's from this is essentially the same mold from the Deathstroke Arrow 2-pack. He has a ball jointed torso joint, which we can lean him side to side really well. Back and forward. A lot of nice range there. Nothing in the waist, because that's also compensated right here in the upper torso crunch. This is where this figure suffers a little. You really don't get any movement out of his legs going forward or backwards, because you're essentially stuck with him moving his legs that far forward or that far back. And he does actually move his legs out pretty far, but then this crotch piece, like the entire hip region, needs to be redesigned, because you can see that looks a little strange. He has a single joint in the knee. He actually swivels at the knee, which unfortunately it's a single joint. He spins at the boot. Has a hinged ankle, and yes, he does have a rocker ankle built into the hinge, so you can actually get him in wider stance poses. So you can see, unfortunately, because he is lacking double jointed elbows, we can't get him in really good arrow firing poses. Which, yeah, it's a bummer, but it is what it is. But anyway, that's DC Collectibles Arrow for you. So what I'm going to do now is take a little break, get him posed up, and then we'll go on to my final thoughts. So sit tight, everyone. And here we have the Arrow pose for my final thoughts, and overall, just a really great figure. You can even see he has some details that I even ignored or forgot to go over in the details, but Anyway, like I said, just a really nice figure, really well done. One thing I will say is that it is kind of tricky getting his hand into getting the bow into his hand, and you can see I've already started to scratch the paint. So maybe use a hairdryer to heat his hand up and widen it so you're not forcing it in there, because you will end up scratching the paint like I have, which is unfortunate, but you know, for what it is, it's a really nice figure. The only problem I have with this figure, and this isn't like something that's easy to swallow, is this figure is kind of pricey if you get it secondhand. If you're able to get it from like a collection, like a comic book store or GameStop, like I was able to get mine, you can pay about $21, $24 for this figure, which is a pretty fair price. If you get them secondhand, you're going to be paying an upwards of $70 to $80. He's not really worth that much, but he is a really nice figure. If you can track this guy down for a really good price, I highly recommend you pick him up. And this is King Dragons 5000 saying I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment on the video, and I'll see you guys later. Take care, everyone.